Right, I want to do a little bit more gradient work, but not in terms of plotting these things and doing little triangles and what have you. I want to do a few more questions from the section on gradients of straight line graphs. Now, I've done you one set in the previous video. I want to go to question 5. You may recall the general equation of a straight line is this: y equals m times x plus c. You may recall that m is the symbol for the gradient and c is the symbol for the intercept. In other words, where the line crosses the y-axis, so we can call this the y-intercept as opposed to an x-intercept, which does exist. And we're told in question 5, rearrange each of these equations in the form of y equals mx plus c. Okay then, so question 5, I've got y minus 3x equals 6. Well, that doesn't actually match that exactly. It's got to go y equals, hasn't it? Well, if I've got negative 3, take it to the other side and plus it. So I've got 6 plus 3x. Let's tidy it up a little bit. Y equals 3x plus 6. Is that right? So this is exactly the same as that. But that exactly fits this equation. There's the y, there's the 3, therefore the gradient is 3, and there's the intercept 6. So actually this line will cross at the point 0, 6. Let's do another one. I've got here y equals, y plus, cross it out, y plus 5x equals 2. Let's just rearrange it, take it over. It's plus 5x, take it over a negative and minus it. So y equals 2 minus 5x, and that's fine. If you want to write it in this form exactly, we could say y equals minus 5x and it's positive 2. So straight away I can see that minus 5 is going to be the gradient of this graph, and it's going to cross on 0, 2 on the y-axis. I'll do the last one, I think. Oh, it's horrible. I think I'll do it definitely. I've got here x equals 3y minus 9. Right, so I want to get the y on its own. First job, get the minus y next door and add it. So I've got 3y equals x plus 9. Well, I'm getting there. I don't want 3 y's, I want a single y. So let's just take each little part and then just divide by 3. Take 3 over and divide it. Tidy it up a little bit. Y equals a third of an x, a very small gradient, plus 3, because 9 divided by 3 is 3. And I know the gradient's going to be positive, but it'll only be a third. It'll be a very slight, just a small slant like that, and it will cross over on 0, 3. And that will prepare us for question 6. Now, question 6 says write down the gradient and the intercept of each of these lines. Well, here's the first one on question 6. Y equals 5x plus 4. Well, straight away that matches the gradient. It's in the correct position of the m. So the gradient equals positive 5. And the intercept is going to be the point it crosses on the y-axis. And straight away that's going to be 0, 4. Now the intercept will always be 0 something, whether it be 0, big number, or 0 minus big number. As long as it goes up and down the y-axis, you've got the intercept. Pick up another one here. I've got 2y equals 6x minus 7. Don't worry about this 7. We now got to divide everything by 2 because I don't want 2y equals, I want y equals. So I take my 6x minus 7 and divide it all by 2. I'm going to get 6x divided by 2, that's 3x's. And minus 7 divided by 2 is minus 3 and a half. Don't be scared of it. So the gradient's going to be 3. And the intercept is going to be 0 minus 3 and a half. Nothing wrong with that. So it'll be something like, I don't know, might look a little bit like there are the axes. It's going to cross through 0 and minus 3, so maybe there. It's going to have a positive gradient and quite steep, so it might look a little bit like that. And that point will be 0 minus 3 and a half. And that little gradient there will be 3, because it says so from the equation. Alright, so you don't worry about these horrible little fractional points, makes no difference, you just do the maths, you'll be fine. And that's done. I want to do question 8 because it looks a little bit tricky. Not difficult, but I want to do it for you anyway. It says, show that, here I go, now remember from other videos, it says show that is tricky. So you've got the answer ready to go. That plus 2y equals 9, and I've got to show that with this equation, 4y equals 3 minus 10x, I've got to show that they both have the same gradient. In other words, if I convert them both into y equals is, I can see what the gradient's going to be. Now let's just take this one, work independently, put a line down there, so here we go. Right, how about 2x, no, wrong, how about, what I meant to do was, how about 2y plus 5x equals 9? All I've done was to write them around the other way to get my 2y in the first position. So, to get 2y on its own, I'll take my 5x's next door and subtract them. 9 minus 5x. And to get y on its own, just divide everything by 2. Alright, so y is going to be, well, 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. So the intercept is 0, 4.5. Minus, well, 5 divided by 2 is 2.5 x's. And my gradient's going to be minus 2.5. So I just want to underline that. It's all asking about gradient. So hopefully this gradient up here will also be minus 2.5. So let's just try it and see. Okay, so this is all in the right position. I've got 4 y's leading off. All I have to do is divide by 4. So here I go. Y equals 3 minus 10 x's. Divide everything by 4. So y equals, well, 3 divided by 4 is just 3/4. So the intercept's going to be 0, 3/4 of the way up, but not, it doesn't quite even reach 1, but never mind, it's not about the intercept, it's about the gradient. Minus, well, 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. 2.5x, and look, we've got a match. Now this will be convincing to an examiner that you understand it, because you've actually worked out the intercept as well. You've not just assumed that, oh, that divided by that is 2.5. You've given the whole answer, and you've highlighted where the 2.5s are the same. Alright, therefore we have proved that the gradient of this line is equivalent to the gradient of that line. But please note, you have to rearrange, and like you were trying to solve an equation, just rearrange it, you change the subject to the formula, and that's perfectly good. And now I will stop this video, but I will say the next section is about finding the midpoint of a line segment. Very, very easy. It's all grade C rated, and I've done that under the foundation section. So I'm not going to do this. I don't need to do yet another video on the midpoint of a line segment. You go back and look at the video, and we'll consider that equivalent to the higher level, because grade C is grade C, whichever paper you finally sit. So now I'm going to stop. You study that, and you go back to the foundation video about midpoints, and that's it. Thank you.